Call this meeting to order. Would you stand and join the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. We approve the minutes for the October 7th regular meeting and the October 14th special meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, at this time, we'll open public comment with Heart of Hagerstown. Gary?
I'll sneak right up here then. You're not supposed to start with me.
Gary Shooty, everybody. Give him applause. Here we go.
Part of Hagerstown, we've had our fall festival, room and areas to improve in there. We'll try that again next year. Hometown Christmas is on schedule. Lots of events planned for that day, that Friday night and Saturday. We will have carriage rides in town. They will have 2 carriages in town that night, providing carriage rides. Those carriage rides will be free. Those will be leaving from the corner of Main and Washington. Probably Chris Mull's lot is where we're going to leave those from. And so just lots of activities. So still trying to piece all that together. But that is what I've got this month.
What was that date again? Hometown Christmas?
December
Saturday.
7th.
For Saturday, whatever that
Did you
is.
say Friday?
We have some things Friday night, very little, like the cookie walk is Friday night, but very little organized activities per se Friday night. So basically Saturday.
December 7th. Yep. Speaking of events, Jubilee Days. I know we kind of left it as trying to figure out what we're going to do moving forward. I did talk to Jeremy Jennings. He said he would be more than happy to help chair a group that wanted to put that together. He said that there was, I think himself, Sandy Campbell, and the lady that's on your guys' committee. Michelle. They are working together to come up with a date to release, to get more information out there and also get people's input. So he said that meeting should happen sometime before the end of the year. So he hasn't got a date yet, but he said that they would put a blast out on email, or not email, I'm sorry, Facebook or social media. So just to give you guys an update on the Jubilee Days, because I know that's been a topic of discussion around town. So
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks. See ya.
bye, Gary.
Bye.
Okay. Next I have Vicki Willett. College Street.
Yeah, I'm here in reference to 127 West College Street. The house has been tore down, and I know they're going to rebuild, not sure what, but the grading of the land has went up about a foot, which is probably going to flood my property.
Have you had any issues with it currently? I know we haven't had any rain really to speak
We have
of.
had no rain, so no, but it's a good foot at least.
Yeah, I did go by there and looked at that today. It does seem like there's quite a bit of gravel that they put as a base there with the lip there on the
Right.
on the west side of the property there. Do we have any information from the property owner?
I pulled the permit. The property owner is right back here behind me somewhere or other. So I don't know if you want to kind of speak a little bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, we're just gonna build we got the permit, we're gonna put a garage there, drive-through type garage. All the water's gonna be funneled via gutter to the alley pipe and everything. Be no water on the property near her basement or anything like that. This is Brandon, he's helping me with the project and did all the grading and everything. The grading's not to final grade yet, it's just there so it could settle and get ready to go. But we just kind of following Chris Fink's building, that everything's just gonna go straight to the alley and shouldn't be an issue at all.
Yeah, 'cause I know his does funnel out to the alley, so.
Yep, yep.
And Chris, permits and everything are in order.
Yeah, I did look back through Terry's files and it looked like everything was in order. One thing they have done on that particular lot is that they have combined 2 lots. So, and I think that's an addition to your house, is that right?
Correct.
So that's an addition onto his house.
Correct.
Are you familiar with the Fink residence? That
Yes.
he speaks
On the
of?
corner, yes.
Yeah, so I know him, he's, my best buddy, so I know that location pretty well. So the way the water does funnel off of that building, it does go out to the.
Is that a guarantee? Because it's up awful high.
I don't
I
guarantee,
don't wanna go in my basement.
yeah, I don't guarantee
I've
anything,
never
because
had
I don't
flooding
know.
problems, so
Yeah.
I don't wanna start now.
Yeah, I don't guarantee anything because I'm not a builder, so I just know if that's the idea, like what Mr. Fink has at his location, then that's where the water's gonna run out to the alleyway there. But, I mean, Chris, you've seen at least the drawings or the plans or not?
I've not seen any drawings or plans for it. Huh?
Okay.
Is that going to be a
How's it a pole barn?
gravel, or is it going to be a yard, or is you're not concreting everything up, or
We're
it's not?
concrete now.
It'll be concrete.
Everything will
Everything
be
will have
concrete.
gutters, everything will run to downspouts, and it'll either be draining to hard surface or to tile.
Is it a garage or a pole barn? I mean,
Well, technically, it's a garage, but it's built in a pole barn style with a concrete floor. It'd be a very nice building for the town.
how many feet off of the property line?
It's gonna go right back where the house was, which has been approved 3 times. So we're following exactly where it was.
And that would be on the grandfather clause? Yeah,
You're speaking to the wrong person here. I mean, I don't know
right.
the building commissioner, I'm sure is well,
Who is the building?
we do not have one right now, we're actually.
Do I need to go to the county or?
Chris, what are we doing in the interim now that we were looking for a building commissioner?
See, that was one thing that's permitted, like with Terry, 100% with Terry. So I don't, anything else now would have to be.
Terry had said 7 feet in, so, is there anything on paperwork on all this, or?
Thanks.
I've not seen, not that I've seen, huh? No, not that I've seen.
And you said Terry did approve the,
Yeah.
okay. So the building commissioner that was here before he left, obviously he approved the, I'm guessing he saw the plans, is that correct? Okay. So he's obviously approved that. I mean, we don't get all the permits and all that stuff up here from council, and I know sometimes Chris doesn't get that. We have to rely on the building commissioner that he approved it. So is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
We can look and see if the 7-foot setback is on the standard, the current code,
Well, that's what it said for the county.
or
but
whether was it grandfathered in the old code. But we can look at that and see.
Don't they have to go by the now codes if the building's completely been removed? So you're gonna rebuild. I mean, to my understanding, you have to go by the new codes.
I just don't know what Terry did, so, but we will.
I need to know, because I'm gonna take it further if I need to. I want this settled.
Yeah, so we'll look and see what the current, just don't have them, we don't keep them on top of our heads, but that's all. We can look at that and see what the current setback is, and then we'll see if that's the current setback or whether that was a grandfather. And we can always get a hold of Terry and see what his justification was of that. Okay, so that's not a problem for us to look that up, but you just gotta give us a little bit of time to look it up. Because
Okay.
it's all in the, in the codes, so we just have to look back at it and see where we're at.
If it's, excuse me, if it's in the codes, then doesn't it, if it's been approved a number of times, wasn't something overlooked?
I don't know whether it's set back with the current codes or not. So if the current codes is a 7-foot setback, and that's what you say it's set back, then it's with the current codes. I just gotta look and see what our current code says is a setback. And my understanding is that setback from the alley or the side yard? Which setback?
This would be the side yard.
Side yard,
Yes.
okay, that's what I needed to know, because there'll be a different setback for the side yard versus the rear and the front. So, we'll look at that and, we will let you know. That's not a problem, that's in the codes, we just have to look and see what they are. They're in the ordinances, so we'll look at that.
Next up, we have Shelley Gray, reference to 450 North Plum Street.
I'm back. I just didn't know if there was any update. I know that, or I assume that the town came and boarded up both of the doors, which I am grateful for, but the basement windows there's one still broken, and the 2 upstairs windows are still wide open. So, still a lot of critters, and Brooke, who lives next door, said that we're getting more critters there. So I just didn't know if anything had happened, if we had sent another letter to him, what's our status?
On our end, and Chris can speak to this a little bit more, but we have received a letter from the property owner that they are in the process of beginning work on it. It was to start late last month. Obviously, delays have set in, but as far as we know on our end, we have received paperwork that there is going to be something done to that property here in the near future.
Okay, so do you know if he's gonna tear it down, or if he's going to?
It's a remodel.
A remodel,
What the letter
okay.
was issued.
So
Is that
he's
correct?
not stepped foot on the
Correct.
property?
It's, pretty-
That's a fact. If he's gonna put money into that, then he's not stepped foot on the property, I can guarantee it.
It's a
But,
pretty substantial remodel, and he said it was supposed to start October 15th, but I was by there today and it's not started, so.
there's been no activity other than, I'm assuming the town boarded up the doors.
Correct, we did.
Yeah. Okay, so how do he says, how long do you give him?
So there's.
He's already almost a month behind, there's been no activity, so how long do we give him?
So John can explain where
Okay.
we're at in the process,
Okay.
I think probably better than we can.
So I have tonight, I'm going to give this to everybody. This is a packet of the 4 properties that are on our list. So these are in order, I think alphabetical by the last name maybe. So the property that we're talking about is, I think the third one back, the KT Property Group is the owner. So just kind of go through the order. It's to the owner. It's got a legal description, parcel number. At this point, we're asking to demolish and remove the building. The list of violations is attached. We're stating it needs to be accomplished within 30 days after service of the order. I believe we settled on a hearing date of November 20th at 6:30. That's when you guys would meet as the Unsafe Building Hearing Authority. The owner would be present he may or may not be present, I guess, but could appear with or without counsel, present evidence, cross-examine witnesses, and present any arguments relative to the order. If he does not comply, then the town would be authorized to do the work and place a lien against the property, which could be certified for collection of property taxes through the Wayne County Auditor's Office. There's also language in there that lets him know that he would have a duty to notify if he tries to transfer the property to anyone. to let us know, let that person know, so that lien essentially would go with that property. So at this point, there'll be a hearing November 20th. I want Chris, in the absence of Terry, to just review the violations, and then we would appear here for a hearing on the 20th. At that point, Chris, as sort of the prosecutor, would have proof that we sent the first letter to them back, it was August, we sent out the letter to give them the official notice. We didn't get a response immediately. We did get the email response, but no actual action. So essentially Chris would have to lay out, pictures, evidence that he's in violation of both state and local ordinances. And then you guys, as sort of the judge in that role, would decide whether or not essentially the building commissioner's office through Chris has complied and done everything they need to do to prove that these ordinances have been violated. And then at that point, we would affirm this order. That would be able to be recorded. And like I said, he may come and maybe he'll start work by then. But I think to keep the pressure on, we need to keep moving forward. And then the others are in there as well. I know they're in different stages. The top one, I know they've been very compliant. I mean, my guess is they might even consent to essentially the lien, and we're working to get that property demolished. And then we've got the Teeter Road property that's got some different things going on with it. And then we got the out-of-state tax sale buyer is the last one that probably we'll have to see that one through and probably do that on our own, would be my guess.
Okay, so you will have a meet, and if he doesn't show up, then you will go to the next step.
Correct. If he doesn't show up, it'll be up to the council. They would then essentially be authorized to go ahead and demolish it if they wanted to.
Okay.
Place a lien against the property, move forward. Now, what I will probably do, since he did reach out via email, we will send this out certified mail, as we're supposed to, but I will probably, as a courtesy, email him, introduce myself as counsel of the town, because, I mean, the goal here is to get this problem solved. I mean, I'm sure the council would love to see a nice remodel job there and a lot of money invested in a great home there, but I think we're all a little skeptical at this point.
Okay, great, thank you.
Next, we have Kramer and Associates regarding the railroad crossing on South Washington Street.
Hi, I'm Doug Kramer, and Bob Warner is here. And you have a packet, I think, probably of the proposal with our letterhead on it, and then you probably have a bunch of photographs too, is that right?
Yeah.
Chris, you have that? Okay, and we'll start with the photographs if you want to a little bit, then Bob will finish up with some of the details about that packet. As you know, Chris has asked us to look into helping get some funding for that by some sources that he is working with, and it is for the railroad crossing on the south end of Washington, near the south end of Washington Street there. And this picture, this first photograph right here, I think I'm going to have them in about the same order as you guys have them. And so this shows the main track here, about down the middle of their right-of-way. And we'll see a survey just in a minute there, so that sort of verifies these lines. These lines are from the county GIS, so there's going to be some little differences. I would say there's not a property line going inside the Autocar building there, and we'll look at that a little later on there. But this generally is just to show you the big main track and then the siding down here. And the subject is, of course, the vertical profile there that is so dangerous. When you can always tell when somebody new goes over that if you're down there, because they're the ones that go flying over it. So this second photograph, again, north is to the north here, and this works as much as anything to help illustrate what we all know, is that several, maybe 100 or 150 or 200 employees walk across that track and are employed there in Autocar, which was Perfect Circle when we started here years ago when we were working for those folks and stuff. Third, so if there's any questions, just go ahead and ask or stop. But All this is, you don't have to try to focus in, I've got a bigger version of this. All this is a survey that we did back when it was PC, well, it said Hagerstown Land LLC at that time, and it was back in 2007. And then the next page is going to give you, I can get it here, it's going to give you a little bit of a blow up of that area. I'll find where it's easiest here in just a minute. And the question is, as much, one of the initial questions that comes up on anything like this is who really owns that tract that is the real problem. We don't propose to or don't presume to think in any way that we can change the main track and it's going to be doing what it does, which is get adjusted a little bit higher all the time. And of course the little side track doesn't. This doesn't show the side track on here, but if you look down at this label in the bottom corner here, and it's just a blow up again of that other survey you saw previously here. The center line of the main track is going through here, and then the other one, of course, is real close to that little truncated corner there of what are now the Otic Towers. That's their employee entrance, I think, there, isn't it? That's where all the employees go in, I think, right there. So that's there just to answer any questions we might have about who owns what. And then the next one, I'm going to operate this way where we can do this more
So
efficiently.
your opinion is who owns the spur?
Railroad does. Yeah. That's our opinion, because it's on land that at least is in their right of way. Now, they have claimed not to own it, and I think that's a good question to bring up, but it doesn't appear. Now, we may get a response when we start more formal correspondence with the railroad, and we have a contact. I have a wonderful contact on railroad items that owned the Indiana Eastern Railroad, which was a railroad that did a lot of industrial spurs around different places. So he's worked with the railroad all his life. He lives in Illinois now, but he owned, let me think of another place you can think of. Remember down at Connersville, the rail goes in and around the big old Ford plant there. We worked with him then, and when that was a whole new railroad, that little railroad spur was a whole new thing. And so he's a guy that Bob and I both have worked with over the ages. And he hasn't looked at this yet, but I don't believe that there's any question that it's on right-of-way that they own. Now, maybe for some reason there's some kind of an operational agreement that'll come up from 1906 or whatever it might be, you know. But it's on their land. It is on the railroad right-of-way. So, Brian, that's a good question. Is there anything further on that? Okay. So the next thing are the photographs that you've got here. And I'll do better pointing around like this. So this is what we see, obviously. It will be one that we'll use to prove that no matter which way you're going across the track, you land one way or the other and dig big gouges into with. And I've even almost done it. Maybe I have done it, wouldn't admit it, I don't know, myself, you know. But it's higher and higher, and here's your storm sewer on the west side. And that's just sort of typical, and you can see how it's all sort of intertwined and down in and inside the lane of the pavement and everything else. So there's going to be something that needs to be done there. And what would you say, Bob? That storm sewer catch basin is about the same age in the heyday of the Perfect Circle stuff, you know, 30s or something like that. It's not any newer than that. And so you can see the height there, the profile. I mean, when we say profile, you remember when we did the water line in Main Street, there were a lot of sheets with profiles of how deep the water line was under the street. On a street like this, on a railroad crossing, our profile will be up and down Washington Street. So that's what we're talking about when we say that big steep profile there. Next one, and this is an interesting one. This answers some questions. First of all, there will be a lot of discussion and decision making as we decide how far to extend that up in front of auto car on the street. there to smooth things out. Again, presuming, and I think it's 100% surety that we won't lower the main line any. So this main line is now risen up above the street. The second thing that's interesting about this second photograph, if you get down, you remember these big wide steps in front there. If you get out to the north end of the steps, so you're on the east side of the street, looking down the steps there to see how high the railroad is in relation to the steps. The railroad, the bottom rail, because there's two rails because there's super elevation around that curve there. The lower rail is even with this, if you sight this line across next to the top step. So it's easy enough to see, they're 6-inch, I measured them tonight again to be sure. They're 6-inch risers, so each 6-inch riser, there's 4 of them, so that's 24 inches. A 24-inch bump in the middle of the street. The other rail may be even up on this riser, up close to the level of the porch as you go in to the building there. So how will we do that? Well, Bob's going to explain that's a lot of work, and because everything's so tight and the storm sewer sneaks its way down the north side of the siding, south side of the edge of auto car there, and so it's going to be complicated. And the other view on that one just shows that even on the west side of the main line, there's a lot of tires that dig in, hitches and bumpers that dig in because of that. And then you also see how much, we all know how much the pavement's deteriorated there. So it's so hard on it. So one or two more shots. Another couple shots of the east side of the pavement. This is sort of the center line. There's a auto car factory here. Here is the curb and the drain on the east side. It's not quite as dangerous. You can almost break your ankle on the other side. This one's covered up, but I don't even know whether it looks like it takes much water, and probably a little restricted in it right there.
Yeah.
And let's go to the next page. And bear with me because they all have interesting things that I know you want to flip back to sometimes as we go through this process. Just looking straight north here on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, you can see what a snaky alignment there is when the siding comes off of the main line there, and that's the only place it doesn't go back on further west. It goes down about in that second group, so where all the trucks are, the second group of the truck parking, and just peters out to nothing. A couple old ties bent and so forth, and just ends down there. It is this kind of alignment pretty much indicates that the rail doesn't give it much priority and put anything on there that's very valuable to them, or at least maybe from a customer standpoint, they put their maintenance stuff on there. Flipping on over, I think there's one more here maybe, but that may be it. Yeah, that's it. That's the last one to show you the rail siding there and so forth. So, how high is it? I measured up also by measuring with the level that we have, the sort of initial. And part of our job is to get this with a topographic survey enough that we can figure out what to do with the profile and also with the drainage that's a part of anything that's not on the roof, of course. So, oh yeah, there is one more here. There's one or two more pages. So, the last two pages are, lo and behold, we have right here in town sort of an example project where pedestrians have to go across the railroad. This is just up the railroad about 1,000 feet we're on Turnpike Road there. So this just reminds us all what you've got there from the recent project. The first picture is looking east into town with the side ditch or the sidewalk and so forth, then cutting across the park. And you can see that there's a path there, a little gravelly, but a path for pedestrians has been made there. The second one is the signage. And we're certain that either good engineering practice or the funding requirements will probably require us to do something more formal than is down there on Washington Street now to get these pedestrians safely across here. So this just reminds us of what you all know is out there on the path that turnpike road to the park. So, are there any questions with those?
What do you mean by more formal in terms of getting them across the,
Well, you see their signage on Turnpike Road,
Yep.
and that was required by one or more parts of the project, either funding or ODOT or NDOT approval, railroad approval, or all those things that entered into that on the bridge and the whole complex little project there. So formal means probably we'll have to do that now that we're touching this area where all the pedestrians.
so you're just talking signage, you're not
Yeah,
talking.
I don't know that. Maybe it might be gates on maybe a higher count than there is at the park on
Okay,
Turnpike Road. We'll find out, and I'm helping you to prepare for that.
thank you.
Okay, and then Bob will explain what you have in your hands there a little bit.
So on the proposal, well, we've been communicating with Chris about, how to afford this project is one thing, and he's found a couple of opportunities, possible grants that could be obtained to fund the project. So for us, the first step would be to get enough information to Chris for those grant opportunities. So if you look at the proposal, the first thing we really need to do is a topographic survey of that area to see exactly what we're looking at, and then use that survey to then do some preliminary engineering to develop a potential solution, again, very preliminary, and then do cost estimates of what that would be so that we know how much funding we have to go after. So we have the topographic survey, we have the preliminary engineering fees, and then communication between all the parties, the railroad and everyone, to put this all together. And we would work with Chris to put the application together to go to the state. So that's the first three items that need to be done. And then in the proposal, we also included our estimate of the future engineering costs to do the whole project once funding is received, which, that engineering cost would then be paid at the same either 80-20 or 90-10 once the grant would be received. So, yeah, that's our proposal. Do you have any questions about it?
So I want to go back just a little bit. So I guess I heard you said you was going to try to reaffirm who owns the spur.
We will do that. They'll force us to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if the railroad owns the spur, then do we want to move forward until we understand who owns it? I mean, I really don't want to fix their spur for them. It's their responsibility. So that's one question I have. The second question, if they absolutely says they say it's ours, would it be more cost effective for us to take out the spur to fix the road? If the spur was not there, it's ours. It serves no purpose for the town. So if we took the rails out, is it more economical to fix it if they say we have to fix it?
I don't think there's any questions. It's the most
Yeah, we
economical way to do it.
discussed that. That would definitely be the most economical, because, yeah, you can go each way from that. But we still need that topographic survey to even know how far you have to take the road, sloping it down to get a smooth transition over the main line.
Thirdly, when you ask them questions, or your friend questions, if we own it, but there's some document back in the 1930s, you say, that we have to maintain it for some reason, then I'd like to know what a reasonable charge is to the railroad for them to use it. I don't, if it's our property and they're not paying us to use it, then to me they're trespassing, in my view. So those would be some things that I would want to know so that we can make a more informed decision. As far as your proposal, I understand that and the cost, and I understand why we need to do that, but if it's totally theirs, it looks like to me that it should be their responsibility to fix it. We wouldn't have to find a grant and all that money for them to fix it. They're going to come back on us. If we remove the spur, that might get their attention. Might. Maybe they don't care.
I think that's probably true, that they don't really.
So if they don't care and we got to fix it, then it looks like to me we need to just take the spur out so that it's more economical to fix it on our part.
My friend with all the experience, and that is really, well, this is our 50th year in business, believe it or not, as Kramer and Associates, and we probably talked to him at least 40 years ago to start with, and so he's been around this railroad business for a long time. He doesn't have any question after I explained what our boundary survey shows that this is theirs. So he didn't bring up that possibility. What he did bring up, though, that was interesting, is they should somehow be motivated to get rid of this dangerous situation. At least 2 times trucks have been on there. One time you had to call them and one time it didn't. Do you remember which way the train was going? Because I worry about it if somebody gets stuck on there and the train is from the west. The train's going eastbound, because that makes the autocar, it endangers the autocar factor there because it's so close. It's a special constriction that's not normal in a railroad, but it certainly endangers all kinds of, either the guy who has to run somewhere to try to get a rescue of his truck or didn't make it, and the train and so forth. So that dangerous situation is one that they'll probably be very sensitive about it if it becomes sort of a public issue here in Hagerstown. And you remember Norfolk Western, or you're familiar with Norfolk Western there. I think I put an "and" in it when there isn't an "and," but Norfolk Western is the same train that had the problems in East Palestine, Ohio, about 1 state east of us here, forward next to Pennsylvania. And I think my expert thinks that they would be in this kind of situation, as in many situations, a little unsure whether they should just go to the trouble to remove it. And it's obviously not a high priority to them, or it wouldn't be all wiggly. That's why we showed you that one photograph there. But if it's something they can just let go and not worry about, maybe they do. But maybe they would be motivated if we point out a little bit more about how dangerous it is. And so we intend to help along with that effort. And those questions that you ask are good questions, but we would certainly be trespassing on their property if we do this, and you can imagine how long it takes to get agreement from the railroad to even set foot on it and so forth. So I think it's probably theirs, and we need to help them understand how important it is to remedy that dangerous situation. And I would think if they look at it, it's probably not very important to them. They don't use it very much, and maybe there's enough room that on that view looking east from Washington Street they can store a couple of those little work cars or a crane or 2 or whatever they put on there occasionally, and not even have anything through Washington or on west of it. So he suggests that, and he's given me a couple of tried and true contacts at NDOT's rail division, and so we're going to get some help with those people too as part of this process. So we're starting to, I guess, focus attention as a town on the problem, and I was really shocked to hear that a guy got on there and got stuck and the train hit it. That's pretty dangerous. And So we're glad to help. We're glad to be helping you on that, and we accept that challenge, and we've already started the wheels turning a little bit there, if you should want us to go ahead. Now, Chris may want to comment on the schedule of the application and some of the work that we've proposed there on the first part.
I think one of the 80-20 grant closing is already over. I think the 90-10 goes through the remainder of 2024, so it's something that we would need to get on really quick. I think one thing that makes this project, one reason why I contacted Kramer, there's several things we're dealing with there. On the east side, we have the steps going into Autocar. We have the lower tracks, the upper tracks. We have a storm drain on the east side. You go over to the west side, we have a storm drain on the west side. Then we also have an existing drive going into the Autocar lot there on the north side of the tracks. So there are several pieces of the puzzle to try to figure out, and it is something that's going to require what their initial phase proposal is here as far as the topographic, the engineering, the coordination with us. It's going to require all of those things to get a viable solution for our storm drains, for the grading, everything.
Of course, we won't presume anything, but one obvious solution may be to actually raise the sidewalks in that area right east of the along the west side of the Autocar building. And there are a lot of things to think about. We often are presented with challenges like that on a street project. The buildings are now lower than the street for a lot of reasons and so forth. So that's one thing we'll look at there and make sure that Autocar is on board with that and so forth.
So the grants you were speaking of, we have the 90-10 that's ending at the end of the year. Is that something that's going to come back next year?
Yeah, they should. Yeah. The 90-10 is a little bit more safety oriented than the 80-20. The 80-20 is more vehicle oriented, whereas pedestrian ADA, I think we can make a good argument that there's 200 people that cross the tracks every day. So I think we can make a really good argument, as did NDOT, that we could get a 90-10 grant on that.
So if we miss the deadline for 2024, we could still do 2024.
And there might even be, I'd have to look into it, but like the community crossings grants, there might be 2 different opening dates, like a fall and a spring or something like that. So.
But you think we need the topographic?
Yeah, I really do. I would like to say that I think that we can argue with the railroad company and that they'll do it all and figure it all out for us, but I don't think that's going to be the case. And in my discussions with NDOT and my discussions with Kramer and my discussions with everyone, they say good luck with that. It's pretty much something that we're going to have to bite off and try to do ourselves.
So so some of the stuff is definitely ours, the storm drain, all that. We need to have this information anyways, correct? So go up, with the first phase of this project, you're looking for us to approve that, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
I'll ask, so even if we approve this and we miss the deadlines, the material that we're approving would help us on the grants next year. We wouldn't be starting back.
Definitely, yeah.
Back over on this.
Correct. And we have at least 2 opportunities a year for that grant. They seem to think that this particular project would be a really good candidate for the 90-10, especially trying to incorporate some ADA and some crossing.
And 90-10, just to be clear, 90% we get, 10% we put in.
Correct.
Gotcha.
We have where the funding would come from.
I would recommend for the first phase to come out of the storm sewage fund, which I think we have ample amount of money in that, I believe.
Makes sense. Is there any other discussion? I make a motion that we approve the first phase of this project as presented to council.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the initial phase for this project at $19,800. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next Next up, we have Commissioner Plaster with the county planning process.
Trying to get out of this couch here, sorry. Thanks for giving me a couple of minutes. About a year ago, I was here and asked you to consider participating in an application we put into Okra to be involved in the Stellar program. We did apply, and we were unsuccessful. We were not a finalist. But as the year has gone by and we've seen how our previous plans have been implemented and are rapidly moving towards completion, we believe that we need to take this next step, go through another planning process. So the county and the city and the Wayne County Foundation, along with the EDC and the Tourism Bureau and the Chamber of Commerce, are all working together to engage a consultant. We have done that. We have raised about $75,000. So we have the funding in place to pay for this planning process. It will begin in January. So I'm going around to the communities again. Our hope is that all of the incorporated towns will participate. The intention is that there's no cost to the town. We will have a plan developed, and this is a strategic investment plan, which is code word for Okra, that if your projects are part of a strategic investment plan, a regional strategic investment plan, you get extra points in the application process for Okra funding. So it's important from that perspective, but the ultimate goal will be to have a plan for each community that participates, a number of projects that you decide are important to Hagerstown. Those will be ranked in priority order and put into the plan. There'll be a little write-up of each of the projects, what it would entail, the estimated cost, and so forth. Each of the towns that participate will have a section in the plan, and then the overall planning will be a countywide plan that will end up prioritizing from all of those projects that are identified, which are the most important projects to the county, which are the most important projects to each town that participates. So I'm here today to ask you to agree to participate. We'll be, again, working with the Wayne County Foundation. They will actually engage HWC Engineering to help facilitate the planning process. We anticipate it'll start in January. It's about a 9-month process to complete that. So there'll be opportunities for residents of Hagerstown to participate in sharing their input, either from an in-person meeting or a survey if they're not able to participate in those meetings. So again, no cost to you. You'll have that Hagerstown plan as part of this overall process. There is no committed funding to implement any of these projects, but many of them will be eligible for Okra grants that you can apply for in the regular course of events. Some of them may be NDOT projects, there may be others, but that's in a nutshell what we're asking you to consider. We will need to know by the end of the year so that we can build you into the planning process. So if you want some time to think about it, you can come back to it in your December meeting. If you're ready to make a decision, I would welcome that so that we can move forward. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Chris, do we have a list of projects we want to be considered?
I'd have to, we did have a list for the last one. I assume they'd probably be mostly the same as the last one, but I have to review that.
The projects are, I mean, the scope of the projects is not limited. It doesn't have, it could fall in any type of project.
Correct.
Infrastructure, okay.
Whatever you might want to do. But again, there's no funding tied to it, just identifying those projects and giving the community an opportunity to give their input as well.
you could come up with that list we did, and we can talk about that at either a special meeting or a December meeting, whatever's convenient. That way we can decide what project we want to include possibly with the county planning process. So you cool with that?
Sounds like an idea, good idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Okay. Next, we have Valerie Schaefer with the EDC.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to give an EDC update. We just renewed a new 4-year contract with the Wayne County government to be the lead economic development agency for Wayne County. And so with that, we also visit contributing city and towns to see if you are interested in re-engaging in a new 4-year contract to be a partner in countywide economic development with the EDC. As you're aware, what that entails is providing 1/2 of your economic development income tax revenues to pool resources with all of the other participating communities to work together for economic development efforts across Wayne County. Currently, Hagerstown this year, by the end of the year, you will contribute around $48,000 to the consolidated edit fund that is maintained within Wayne County government, that is jointly controlled by the Wayne County Commissioners and Council and the EDC Board of Directors. We can each make recommendations for funding for the other bodies to consider. But over the last almost 4 years, the EDC has done a lot throughout Wayne County. We still remain true to the core of what we're charged to do, which is business development. That's supporting our existing businesses and then working to recruit new industry to Wayne County. So over the last 3.5, 4 years, we've been fortunate to work with 16 businesses that have invested or are in the process of investing $534 million in Wayne County, and as a result, creating 445 new jobs. We also worked with existing businesses that had a threat of leaving, and were able to retain 366 existing jobs here in our county. With business development comes industrial park development. We work hand in hand with the City of Richmond and the Midwest Industrial Park and the Wayne County government, who owns land at the Gateway Industrial Park in Cambridge City. We work with the utility providers to ensure that there's adequate capacity to support both our existing and new industry, and then we look for opportunities to secure additional ground so that we have shovel-ready land available when we have prospects that are looking in Wayne County. Just last year, well, 2 years ago now, we were able to secure an additional 335 acres to expand the Midwest Industrial Park, and that's really opened up opportunities for us to respond to more business development leads for companies that are looking in Indiana and the Midwest. Outside of business development, we also are now working in areas of talent recruitment and retention. One of those areas that we've been able to work in is even childcare. When you think about workers' needs, they need childcare opportunities to make sure people can enter the workforce. Just this year, we created a new Jumpstart childcare training program, and we're able to write a grant to Ball State University to train childcare workers. So your New Testament Church childcare facility, the EDC actually facilitated the training of the 7 new workers to be able to open that facility with employees, and that was a cost of around $3,000 or so. Additionally, for talent attraction and recruitment, we've developed the Home in Wayne campaign. That's a tool for our businesses to be able to try to recruit talent to Wayne County. We've also recently launched the Wayne County Job Finder. That is a tool on the Home in Wayne website where all the jobs are pooled into one website so Wayne County residents can look for local jobs. We want people to stay right here at home, live here, and work here. We're also working in the areas of education. Teresa Lindsay in my office, she works really closely with Nettle Creek School District. She does things for them such as help set up job shadow opportunities for the students. She's participated in their elevator pitch competitions. We set up tours for manufacturing days to get students out of the classroom and into plants so they can look at all the career opportunities in manufacturing. She's helped re-engage the JAG program and works with the chamber on the hiring fairs for the students to try to find positions post-high school. So those are some of the things that, aren't newsworthy, so to speak, but those are some of the things that the EDC is also working on behind the scenes. Recently, we've engaged in community development. That includes downtown revitalization, that includes housing projects. We worked really closely with the county for the new downtown revitalization grant program. And while Hagerstown wasn't eligible for that because you weren't a HELP community, we've applied for additional dollars from the state to be able to expand that to all of our contributing communities across Wayne County. So we're hoping to relaunch a second version of that program next year. And then when it comes to housing, we've been really working with units of government to identify new housing development opportunities. The way in which we engage in that is really dependent upon you all, how much assistance you want from us. But we're currently working on an infrastructure grant program to help generate some new housing starts around in Wayne County. We hope to launch that in 2025. We've secured about $500,000 in funding from the Consolidated Ed Fund so far this year, and we're working with Wayne County government to see if they want to contribute additional funds so that we can help reinvigorate platted subdivisions that are unfinished, that are just sitting idle. We know that infrastructure is a real barrier for builders and housing developers, so we want to try to infuse some dollars into that so we can get some new housing started across the county. And then you're aware of the Blight program that we've also launched. I know Sarah's working really closely with Chris to identify the properties and help you all have some funding to actually tear down some of these homes that are unsafe and blighting your neighborhoods and causing concerns for your residents. So look forward to working with you all and completing a couple demolition of homes. In some communities, that's resulted in people stepping forward when they receive those notifications and actually redeveloping homes. We feel like that's a very positive outcome to this program as well, because you can actually act on the threats that you need to make to get property owners to take action, or in some cases it even results in neighbors buying the properties and revitalizing themselves. So those are a few things that we're working on. I just wanted to share that with you all. I know you've had some discussions about whether or not you want to renew your edit contract, but know that I am here to have those conversations with you, answer any questions that you have about the work that the EDC is doing, and talk in more detail about how we can better support you, because the way in which we support our communities is different everywhere, and so we want to tailor that approach to whatever your needs are. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I've got a few. I noticed you mentioned the Midwest and the Gateway Industrial Parks. How many industrial parks do we have in the county?
So those are the only two that are considered shovel-ready, meaning that they have 10 plus acres of ground that are under local control, that have all the utilities and infrastructure in place to make it a marketable property.
So those are just the shovel-ready ones, correct?
Correct, yes. I mean, there are privately owned sites around the county as well, that if a property owner contacts us, we work with them to market it, and if we have a prospect that is looking for land in around that area that we feel like it's a good fit, we're happy to also promote other land and also available buildings that are sitting vacant.
Do you guys have possibly a breakdown over the past 4 years of the communities that you've had projects with and worked for? In other words, what are the projects for Hagerstown, Centerville, Fountain City? I mean, we see a lot of the projects go in Richmond, which is understandable because it's the county seat. But I would be interested in seeing a breakdown over the last 4 years and just seeing, because $48,000 is quite a bit of money for little Hagerstown, and we're just trying to make sure we're stretching our dollar as much as we can.
Sure.
Do you guys have that breakdown by chance?
We can certainly look. There's a lot of projects that we propose that don't move forward, so I'd like to include those as well, because we have within the last 2 years worked with a local company that had interest in opening in Hagerstown. There was some land in your industrial park here that unfortunately we weren't able to get the owners of the ground to sell that. So we moved down State Road 1. I supported them in the rezoning of getting that rezoned to open there. That land didn't work out, so they've looked elsewhere. So there's been instances where we've tried our very best, but for whatever reason the circumstances didn't pan out.
I would love to see that. I think also, not to speak for anybody else on the council, but I think that would be another thing that would help us make this decision.
Sure.
What communities are currently involved with you guys in terms of getting the edit money? Is it all the incorporated communities in Wayne County, or has anybody stepped away?
Currently participating now is Wayne County, which is all the unincorporated areas of Wayne County. And then we have Richmond, Cambridge City, Centerville, Economy, Hagerstown. Milton was a participant, but they had an emergency demolition project of their old schoolhouse that we allowed them to pull out of the contract to use the funds for that demolition. East Germantown, though, is joining for the first time, coming on board. They see a lot of value in the work that we've been doing and the support that we've lent them through the HELP program.
And one last one, hogging up the time here. You were talking about new housing starts in 2025. Have you guys, because I know for me, housing is something near and dear to my heart to this community, because I really think that's not only just housing, but senior housing is an issue we have here that I would love to see changed. My question to you is there any sites or any potentials that you guys have indicated for Neville Creek and our surrounding community here?
No, but we are also not identifying the housing. We're working with the communities, the plan commissions, their town managers to identify where they see the best housing for. You know, because we're not in the community every day, you know, I don't feel like we're best to identify that. We're able to help review sites and where utilities are and look at amenities around it and give our opinion, but we really want to work alongside you in identifying those properties.
Has there been any movement there by chance?
You know, there's been the 2 or 3 properties that we've been looking at,
right,
but we've not had any
I know that
opportunities to
I know
purchase.
the one property that I know we've been talking with them as well about, so I just...
One we would really like to purchase, other one would be a good alternate, but, and then there's a third one that we haven't inquired about yet. But.
Okay. Well, Valerie, I appreciate your time. I would, like I said, if you can get some type of a breakdown, just to kind of, so we can see where the money is going, and more importantly, how is it benefiting us in particular. I mean, obviously, you know, keeping a company or a factory here in Richmond does benefit some of our residents here in town, but you know, what we're looking for is the specific projects over the past 4 years that you know, that has went to Hagerstown or in our, you know, surrounding area there. So I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Happy to do that.
Valerie, if we wanted to opt in for less than 4 years, is that a possibility?
That's really a decision by the Wayne County Commissioners because your contract is actually with them and not the EDC. All the towns contract with the county and then the county contracts with us.
So what's the so the money actually goes to the county?
Yes.
So it doesn't actually go to EDC?
It does not. However, we go forward with our operating budget. So those pooled funds fund the EDC's operations, all of our staff and our office space, et cetera. And then growing companies have the opportunities to apply for grants from the Consolidated Edit Fund to support new investments in real estate and machinery and equipment and hiring and training new employees. And so those pooled funds support those projects. And then we have special projects such as the Blight program that we've created, the Housing Infrastructure Fund. Those projects are derived from the EDC strategic plan that all of our participating cities and towns contributed to back in 2020, where we identified what was important to the community, what areas should the EDC be focused on to expand and enhance economic development, and then we're trying to meet all the goals and objectives in that strategic plan. So that's how we pool the Consolidated Edit Fund to invest in projects that relate to that.
So what percentage of the money that you pull in goes towards the administrative cost? Do you know what that percentage is?
I would say probably 40%, roughly.
And Jeff, does the county commissioners, do they match the funds that the town puts in?
We put in 50% of our funds, 50% of the edit funds that come to the county, which is from all of the unincorporated areas of the county.
Yeah, so the county is the second largest contributor to the consolidated edit fund. So this year, they will be contributing $620,000. And that's second to Richmond, who contributes a little over $1 million.
Is that for the 4 years or per year?
Per year.
Per year.
Any further questions?
So Jeff, I guess I got a question to you. Is there any consideration if we wanted to go for less time?
We'll consider it.
But one thing we got going, we've got a big water project that we have to fund as well.
Sure.
And you know, we're trying to make sure that we get that done as well. So there's a lot of numbers we're throwing up right now. You know, trying to, it's a little over $2 million that the citizens have to pay for over time. So yeah, that's got some of them shaking their heads.
I don't want to get too hung up on ancient history with edit, but I would ask that you at least consider 25 years ago when the edit tax was put into place by the county council. It was in collaboration with the communities. There were extensive conversations that went on. If the council had not put that income tax in place, you wouldn't get the 50% that you do get right now. The idea was, let's pool our resources. Everybody keeps half of the edit tax that's collected for them, contribute the other half to this consolidated pool that will help grow the economy for the whole county. So you look down the road on one, the county's industrial park, which has cost in excess of $10 million to the county to develop over time. But now there are 800 or 900 jobs in that industrial park, and people come from all over the county and in fact all over the region to work there. You know, I live 2 miles outside of Hagerstown. I've always worked in Richmond, continue to do that. I drive into Richmond every morning. There's a lot more traffic in the morning driving into Richmond than driving into Hagerstown. There are a lot more jobs in Richmond. When people, businesses look at Wayne County, predominantly they look at Richmond. They want to be in a center that has population that will support their workforce. Beyond that, the entire region, we draw more people into Wayne County every day to work than we export people going out, commuting out of the county to work. So it's, I think, been very effective. We certainly want to continue this. I think everyone needs to look at this as how do we grow, how do we make the economy of the county and the region more dynamic, rather than do we get back dollar for dollar everything we invest. If that was the measure, there wouldn't be any point in collecting the tax to begin with. So I ask that you consider that element of this as you go forward. If you choose to request something less than the 4-year contract, we'll take a look at it. I would be reluctant to do that just because this process of going to people every year, asking them if they want to participate, answering the question, if we gave you X amount of money, how much of it did we get back, is going to just grow. So let us know what you'd like to do. We'll consider that. I hope you'll agree to continue for another 4 years.
Any questions? Okay. Do I have any other public comment?
I'm just here to check the status of the edit loan apps that we have submitted. I don't know if you have questions for us or we need you need more information or?
I've been reviewing Aaron specifically. I do believe that we're gonna need some additional information there. We talked about maybe we're gonna have to set up a meeting and so we can collect some of that additional information. Yours, Chris, was basically just for the fixing up of the building.
Yeah.
So.
I just need to know what we need to do next.
I think we're under review, and as soon as we get a plan together for a meeting, we will advise you, and we can move on from there.
I think everybody knows where I am. And I think you can tell we've been working on it the last few weeks. Okay? Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, move on to council action. I have a sewer credit for Dale's Pizza.
Oh, yes, it's for, August, September, and October. It's totaling $118.86 for the sewer.
Did they have like a leak or something?
They had a leak and they fixed it, yeah.
I make a motion that we honor or give the sewer credit for the $118.86 Dale's Pizza.
Second.
Some properly moved and seconded for the sewer credit for Dale's Pizza in the amount of $118.86. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Employee handbook.
So the employee handbook, I emailed that to all of you, and I made clear there's a lot of formatting we still need to clean up, but I think the content is good and refreshed. So I would encourage you to take your time, look through that. I know Becky, kind of one of her goals was to get that done before.
I have a question about what you presented us versus what we already had.
Okay.
They're really different.
Okay.
So I want to adjust what we need to, but I really liked what we had.
Okay.
I just wanted you to say, okay, it's legal.
Okay, all right. So I'll go back to my colleague that worked on it and we'll see how much of it had to change versus just using the new template kind of thing. So we'll see what we can do there, but that's what we need to kind of match up is how you guys want to do business and how you want to operate and then make sure that it's legal. So, but I still would hope we could do that and hopefully maybe approve something at the December meeting to be effective maybe January 1st. That way you have time to inform the employees and make any adjustments necessary and all that. So that would be my goal on that. I do have a draft of and we don't have to take any action on this tonight, and I can email this to all of you. The cooperative firefighting agreement between the town of Hagerstown and Jefferson Township. That was circulated, I think, last month, that it was due to be renewed. So I just refreshed that pretty much with the dates. I know fire chief may have some, maybe comment on that. I know he sent the statute about the fire territory, so he may have some thoughts, but don't have to take any action on that, and I can email a copy of that to each of you. And then, just to be clear, follow up on the unsafe building. So we've got a hearing date, November 20th. And then I'll be asking Chris and Julie probably tomorrow. We'll take a look at the packet that I gave you. We'll need to sign off on each of those. And then either my office can do it or you guys can do it. We need to get those out certified mail. I always do certified in first class. That way if they don't pick up the certified and first class doesn't come back, at least think they got it. That way we can get notice to them of that hearing, have proof of that, hopefully for the hearing to show that if they don't show that they had notice. So we'll work on that tomorrow, but that's really the next step, and then we'll have that hearing, and then we can start to hopefully take action and move forward. I think that's all I have.
So where some of the status has changed on some of these properties, that'll be discussed tomorrow, whether we send it to them or not.
Well, I guess what I want Chris to do is kind of look through and see, if there's been any significant improvements and we want to pull them back or, change the allegations, if you will. Then we'll do that before we actually send them out, if that's your question.
Yeah.
So if you guys have feedback on that, let Chris or I know before, tomorrow afternoon maybe. And
Unsafe hearing, and that is an open meeting, correct, for the public? Or not?
Yeah, it's open for the public. We don't necessarily have to publish notice. I mean, we can post it, but we don't have to publish a special notice or anything because it's targeted to those people. But it's essentially an administrative court type proceeding. So the people come in and they can say whatever they want to say. We'll have our evidence ready and go from there.
Thank you.
The question more on that topic. One of the houses is for sale. There's a pending offer and they're supposed to close on the 11th. How does that change?
Well, I don't think it changes anything because right now it's still in the owner's name. Have you had discussions with the owner about?
I've had discussions with the realtor.
Okay. I mean, I think if I'm the Unsafe Building Hearing Authority and or the council, I would want some commitments that whatever's wrong is going to be fixed.
Okay.
One way or another, whether that's tear down, remodel, something, but.
So the new owner needs to be informed?
Yeah, I think.
Getting possession on the 11th, okay.
Right, because, I mean, this is going to, especially once we get through the hearing, I mean, it would put what we would call a cloud or an issue on the title because it's going to be recorded. Okay. So, but yeah, the new owner, in fairness, needs to know what's going on because they need to go into this eyes wide open.
Okay.
Will you be attending that meeting as well?
On the 20th?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured so. Just
and to be clear, I'll be kind of working with you guys. I'll kind of prep Chris a little bit ahead of time, but I can't work both sides because I've got to be fair.
Gotcha.
So I'll let Chris know what his duties are going to be, what he's got to lay out, what he's got to show, and then if you guys have questions during that meeting, you're going to ask me. But I can't really work directly with Chris. Sometimes people even have, maybe Chris would get counsel. It sounds kind of funny, but to help advise him on here's how you lay this out because we've got to be fair to the citizens.
I agree. But we can use you.
Right. So I'll be kind of working with you guys and saying here's what you need to consider as you make your decision.
Yep.
I'll try to brief Chris as much as I can ethically. Here's what you need to lay out, but it's pretty standard. Here's the notice. Here's what I did. Got the title search. Here's the pictures. Here's the story. Here's Terry's report. Those kinds of things to help you guys check the boxes to enter an order.
Thanks, sir. Everybody had a chance to see Brad's report through email for the EDC. Parks and Recreation.
No meeting. I do believe there's going to be one. Am I correct?
Next week, I think.
Yeah, next week, I thought so. That'll be the last one of the year. So other than that, I'll report back in December.
Thanks, sir. Keith, Police Department.
The only thing I had was just one report. Trick-or-treating went great. We had another great turnout. The town was packed for that 2-hour period. And we just had a couple little minor things that we have every year that goes along with Halloween. So other than that, we had no issues, but it was another great turnout.
Thanks, sir.
That's all I had.
Hey Keith, there was one police car that you was going to put up for sale.
Correct.
Can you give us an update where we're at on that?
Yes, we're about 2 weeks away. We're transitioning the one that was Tyler's K9 car is going to be issued one of the SROs, and then his 2012 is going to be sold. We thought we had one sold to another community, but they found some money and decided to buy a brand new one. So right now we're just going through removing some equipment and getting some striping and stuff taken off. And I'm hoping to have the one ready to move forward with the auction process in about 2 to 3 weeks.
Thank you.
Rick, Fire Department.
October went pretty good. A lot less runs compared to September. We still had 18 calls, but that's compared to 35 from September, which was a big plus for us. Halloween at the fire station went very well. Had a huge turnout again, and we had people from communities all over come to Hagerstown to trick or treat. So Our glow necklaces that we give away, we have to give away an estimated 600 this year. So all those are purchased with money that's donated to the fire department, so tax dollars are not used for that stuff. So, but it's a good turnout for that. Our apparatus we got, and we had the engine 6.1 was out of service. We've got it repaired. They found some wiring difficulties in it and replaced those, so it's back in service now. 6.4 still giving us problems. So we're still, it's a work in progress. We had to put new batteries in our tanker today. We went out on a call yesterday and it was dead. The batteries were no good, so we had to replace them today. So our membership, we're still down. We're down another one. We had a gentleman that resigned. He moved out of the area to help take care of his grandparents that are in bad health. So he doesn't know if he'll be moving back this way or not. But so we're down 5 now. We've got 20. So fundraiser, our chili dinner is Saturday from 4 to 7 over at the fire station. All veterans eat free, so come on over and enjoy some good food that's made by some of the wives of the firefighters. So it's a good time. The township agreement, I did meet with Chris a few weeks ago about this, see how he wanted to handle it. He is in the favor of starting a fire territory, which is 2 municipalities or more in order to do that. The only other one in Wayne County is Fountain City, New Garden Township. And it works quite well for them. I emailed you Title 36 of the Indiana Code about fire territories, how to establish them. So you get a lot of reading in that. I would like to, possible, maybe get a work session and have our attorney go through some of the stuff and explain some of the legalities of that. So according to equipment, what the township owns, what the town owns, all that. We know what we own, what they own, but it's all paid for by the taxpayers of Hagerstown Township. So we're looking at that. The agreement, I think the town, it says in here that if we start a territory, it has to be agreed upon, and it can't start till after January 1st. There's a deadline, only certain times of the year you can do this. So, but I do think we need to sit down, and it can get pretty hairy because it's going to cost somebody a little bit more money if we do this. So I think we need to sit down with Chris again, have him up here, maybe one of the advisory board members from the township, and sit down and go over this stuff and see what we can come up with.
That's a great idea.
And that's it.
One thing, if someone wants to donate money to the fire department, how do they go about doing that?
They can just write it, they want to do cash check and just drop it off here and just say that, Hagerstown Fire Department, then it goes directly into our donation fund.
Yeah, what you guys do with trick-or-treating is just,
Pardon?
what you guys do with trick-or-treating every year is just phenomenal. So many
It's a
people
good
just,
time, and we have a lot of people. This year we noticed more families dressing up with their young kids and having a good time, so we enjoy it. The little kids come in, look at the trucks and stuff, so we enjoy doing it. So Reed comes up, they send their medics up, and they sit with us, and they give out candy too, so it's, we're there. If something happens in town, we're close by, and we're all there together, so we can respond pretty quick if we do have an emergency, so.
great work by the department.
Mike, airport board.
We had an issue with the lighting about a month ago. It's been fixed on the west side of the airport. Now we have a problem with the lighting on the east side of the airport. So electricity is coming out, I believe, next week to take a look at it. Might be time to rethink the whole lighting system as old as it is. Hoping that maybe we can find that in the budget next year, although we are planning on hiring somebody to mow next year. All of us have turned doing it this year, so we know about how long it takes and what we can actually budget to have someone do it next year. That's all I've got.
Thanks, sir. Advisory Plan Commission.
Had a meeting October 15th, 4 members present. Mainly 2 topics discussed. First was a common theme tonight, the unsafe properties, just a status update on those. Chris provided the updated quotes or estimates on the demolition of those 4 properties. Second topic was just the announcement of Terry resigning, and there was some brainstorming and discussion on possibly alternative ways we could fill that role, sharing it with other communities, going with the contractor company or something like that. No real resolution, but just some good thoughts going into that. That's about all I have.
Thank you, sir. Chris.
Yeah, everything's moving smoothly at the wastewater treatment plant right now, which is good. We had some issues with lift station pumps and some things like that, but we're in good shape now. We got the lead service line inventory report submitted in the middle of the month. We had Triad and Associates work on it with us. We've not encountered any lead service lines in town. We do have several galvanized lines. We do have some that are unknown. We will be sending out just a list to pretty much all the residents here the next couple of weeks, explaining to them what the process is all about. It's a federally mandated thing that we have to do. I had an IDEM inspection at the parks well, and you probably remember from a couple of years ago where we had some issues out there. Everything looked good. They wanted to see some bollards around the well casing just so it wouldn't get hit by a vehicle or golf cart, so we got that taken care of. And they also wanted to see the operation records and manual on the site, so Mike took care of that. Then the snack bar there where the bathrooms are. Electric department working on the repairs after the storm. Comcast actually came out and made a couple pole repairs, which was wonderful. They've been needing to do that for about 3 or 4 years. Restocking the supplies for the electric department. I know Fred's asked about the underground project at Graceland Heights. We're working on that with Burns Corporation and Justin Ramey. Streets Department, we still have not heard anything on the 2024 Round 2 Community Crossing Grant Awards. Typically we hear something by the end of October, but we just haven't yet. I'll keep you guys in touch with what goes on there. Hopefully we'll get our award again this year. Curb work is all completed on North Washington Street. Just wanted to comment on the Heart of Hagerstown. They did an excellent job decorating our downtown for fall this year. Just really did a nice job on that. Wanted to thank them for that. Thank you, Shelley. As far as Hometown Christmas, Mike got the flagpole installed in the park across the street here that they're going to use for Christmas lights. That's a telescopic pole, so it can go up and down. I think it's 20 or 24 foot that it can go up. Cemetery repairs were made after the combine accident out there. We've had several discussions, as Sean said, about the abandoned houses. Building commissioner position is advertised. I've had 1 interview and it went pretty well. I've had a couple other people's a little bit more interest in it too, so we'll talk to other people about that. An issue we have had here that we discussed over the summer were the feral cats in town. We have several stray cats in town. Jeff Plaster is working on a project with the county. He got me in touch with veterinarian Stacy Kostick there. She's with the Animal Care Alliance, and she pretty much described the process of catching, spaying and neutering, releasing healthy cats back into the town. That's something that we'll probably work on here in the upcoming months.
How's that going to look? I mean,
how's it going to work?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. They basically want people, they know that there are residents that are currently feeding cats in town, and they want them to feed them but set up traps, or not feed them for one night but then set up traps and then try to catch them and take them into the Animal Care Alliance there on the south side of Richmond to have them spayed and neutered. They will clip their ears indicating they've been spayed or neutered, and then they want them released back into town.
So the residents will take.
We kind of make a mistake.
So the residents will capture the felines.
Yeah, correct.
Take it to Richmond, and then transport them back.
They want a committee. Yeah, they would like to have like a committee.
What
that
if you
will help
don't
do
go back
this.
and get it?
What if They get.
Go find a little bag.
Oh, I know.
So the process is a little bit more detailed than that, but that's kind of the gist of it, so.
So is the county paying for that?
The county is paying for that, and they said ideally they would like 75% of the colony to be spayed or neutered, so.
Well, Brian, your office is in Richmond, isn't it? That'd be convenient. You can just.
Drop them off at Brian's office.
Drop them off at your house.
That's in his house, yeah.
Would you like me to give the address on camera?
Take him down to the airport, yeah.
I might have a wreck in Greens Fork and they just accidentally. You know, that's very congested in there.
You guys have any other questions?
Yeah, can you give us a reminder on the leaves or how we?
The late pickup, yeah, that will be running through the middle of December, usually about, second week of December is when we usually stop
That
picking
happens on a
up.
pretty daily basis.
It's pretty much daily with our new truck. It's a lot of times on Mondays, if everyone's been out raking on the weekends, he just can't get around to everyone on Monday, but hopefully by Tuesday he can, so. One other thing I probably better bring up, because this has also come up about the mini barns, relocating mini barns, the cost of that. You guys want me to give you a dollar figure? I know Mr. Todd was in here and he had 2 mini barns moved, and it was, for a new pad and have those moved, it was $1,459 for 2 barns. So that's just kind of giving you an update on that. I didn't know what you want to do with that.
And that was approved, put the
It was
barns.
approved in 2011 or 2012, I think is what he said, yeah. And he's actually, that's not just what he said, he's given me copies of all the documentation, so, yeah.
So what you've seen here is sufficient to believe that, obviously, because 2011, I mean, I've slept since then. So.
6/1/2012, yep, he has all of the building permits and everything, so, yeah, one was 5/31/2012, another was, 6/1/20.
And that the barns have been removed from our easement.
They have been removed from our easement.
I mean, any discussion? I mean, I would make a motion that, since this was something that we approved that was incorrect, I would make a motion that we refund him for the amount that the town manager has disclosed.
Second.
What was that amount? This last part of it.
1459.
So properly moved and seconded that we approve this refund for $1,459 for moving to the mini barns. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Julie, anything from?
Just have a couple things. So currently right now, the longevity for our employees is 15 years. And I was wanting to make a recommendation for at least go up to 20. So, and that's part of our wage and salary ordinance, which I'll have that next meeting for 2025, but I just don't know.
So you want to add 20 to the longevity? Then
Yeah,
15.
because it was capped at 15.
Right.
So I want
So taking the cap off 15, move it to 20.
20.
Okay.
I don't know if that had to be, I guess you can approve it next, yeah. And then also, American Publishing that does our ordinances, that's all been updated on our website, since, it's like the past couple of years, of all the ordinances that we've passed, so. That's all I have.
Our next regular council meeting will be Monday, December 2nd at 6:30. As a reminder, tomorrow being election day, we would like to encourage all those that haven't to make sure to get out and vote. Everybody had a chance to review the claims.
Move to approve.
Second.
So properly moved and seconded, we approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
So properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?